Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show, Winners and Losers here, June 2022. We're starting off the summer strong, sweaty, and determined. It's not summer yet. Actually, the solstice is in about 20 days or so, around June 21st. That's when our ancestors had orgies. So that's cool. They also did it before around Christmas time, too, at the winter solstice or whatever that's called. Actually, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. It's me, Hank. Don't have a very big show planned for y'all today. Been spending most of the last few days animating myself giving money to a demon. Go to my TikTok, Wicklock. That's my TikTok. I don't know. Okay. I want to say go to TikTok on go to Wicklock on TikTok, but that sounds like that's the full name. So I have to go to Wicklock on TikTok. I feel like I've trapped myself in the world's simplest puzzle. Yes, welcome. So yeah, I've been pretty swamped this week in terms of productivity. So the overlords will be happy. Although this kind of productivity is more of the hope dividend that I'm hoping to eventually that'll pay off, because nobody's giving me any money for any of this stuff. I'm still doing my workers' comp therapies. I'm halfway through now, I guess. I've done 2 weeks, which is pretty good. Let me get into the camera shot a little better. And so I had one of those today, which was okay. They hooked me up. They make me do some workout stuff. They make me do some electricity shit for my arms. They hook up these pads on my elbows and my wrists, and then they zap me for like 15 minutes. I don't know. It feels weird, and I can tell them, like, they ask me, like, "How you feel it now? You feel it now?" I'm like, and I go, yeah. And then they go, "How about now?" And I go, "Ah!" And I start screaming, and then an authority figure in like a white lab coat tells them to keep escalating it until I die. So that's a research joke for those of you research historians that are listening. Yeah. So already rambling. That's okay. I'll try to get back to whatever the hell I started talking about. I actually don't remember. Oh, busy week animating me giving money to demons. Learning much of the last week has been consumed with getting my TikTok thing going. I know this is probably very uninteresting for anybody who's not on the TikTok at all. I don't blame you. You should just stop listening. It sucks. It sucks to listen to someone talk about some nonsense that you've probably already written off. TikTok was visited more than Google, I think. I recall hearing that last year or a year before something. It's a very, very big company or presence or whatever. I mean, friends of mine, people who I trust, respect, have been sharing TikTok links and stuff over the last couple years or so, and sort of I've been encouraged by some people to try it out, and I have already before. My posts go back a little bit, but only recently have I actually started putting up clips of this podcast. And man, I mean, I'm not saying I don't think like it's like all blown up all of a sudden at all, but the numbers start coming in, tickling that little dopamine dispenser in my brain that wants to see the likes and the heart, the little bloop heart thingy, or maybe some comments. I get anxiety about comments. It's so weird. Cause like, oh no, I'm going to make the troll army mad at me, and then they're going to come after me or something like that. It usually doesn't work like that. And I'm nowhere near big enough for that to happen at all. But yeah, I put a ton of editing time over the last week into it, as well as the video project I'm working on that I've been talking about. Although mostly this TikTok stuff and just this kind of podcasting, because I also need a break from the other thing. It gets pretty intense, a lot of this stuff. So, starting the podcast back up and trying to do something out of my comfort zone. That's really what this TikTok thing is about. I've been watching a lot of TikToks recently too. And interesting, I actually think I'm giving you the go ahead. I'm going to give you the green light to give it a look. It'll be very, it's like signing. Yeah. I don't know what to say. It's like a very boring waiting room when you first start. It's like walking into a place and being like, I don't think I'm in the right. Is this really laser tag? Because there's just like nothing going on here. I see a couple of laser tag should be black lights and cool lasers and maybe one of those ball things with the different colors that spins around. I've been watching a little Stranger Things, guys, so I got a little 80s-itis going on. I was an 80s kid involuntarily. I do have some nostalgia for what I watched during Stranger Things. It is mostly a little over the nose, over the top with the 80s references. I'll ramble about that some other day. But just search the TikTok for some topic you like. I like space stories and stuff. Honestly, I think there could be a better science presence on TikTok. There's some pretty good communicators on there. One I found that I like, so it starts to algorithm you. That's just the way it is. But one I've gotten into is a guy who gives stretching tips. He's like a human pretzel, a rubber. He's like a piece of rubber, but he pretzels himself, and not in like a contortionist kind of way. He gives very practical, like how do you just is how you look at it. He's very quick. He's very sharp. His communication skills are excellent, and he gets right to the point. And it's got that kind of TikTok rhythm that is sort of emblematic of the platform. Although the variety of the way people present is very, very different on there. But I've learned a lot of interesting stuff. I should have chambered this historical. There's a lot of good history things. There's a lot of good Marxist analysis kind of stuff. There's a whole leftist. If you're in the lefty zone, like I assume if you're listening to this, you're probably on that range. There's a lot of good quality communicators on that. You scroll through someone's posts. I'm learning it. I've lived and worked in the YouTube environment for most of my career here in Los Angeles. When I was working at the Young Turks, I was actually my job title. First iteration. I wasn't hired for this, but they shifted me because they figured out that I know words. And so they made me a writer, the headline writer, as well as graphics and stuff, since I do, a lot of stuff. I was a pretty valuable employee, I'd say. In terms of what I was paid compared to the job responsibility. But my job title eventually became head of publishing. So I got 2 professional certifications in YouTube stuff, digital rights management and audience growth and development. Those are on my resume, but they don't mean fucking shit because it was 8 years ago. And also I was sort of, snoozed out most of that time anyway. I was just eventually I quit that because I was dying inside. And it was just an unhappy situation. But I still did a good job, I think. So I'm somewhat familiar with the YouTube world, as well as all the effort I've put into my Suck Professor channel, which has well over 1,000 videos. That's really where I leveled up my video editing over the last several years, just doing a lot of, YouTube stuff on there, which is another way of saying having nowhere near enough sex a human being should be having in their lifetime. In a cosmic sense. I don't think that the universe snapped into existence 14 billion years ago so that we could, work these lonely, isolated lives being productive, staring at these fucking screens. We're supposed to be hunting and banging, Put that on a bumper sticker on your giant Prius, okay, motherfuckers? I hate those huge trucks, man. Those huge trucks are so annoying. They're just I don't know. Another indicator of the profitability of insecurity, the insecurity dividends. I'm really obsessed with that word, dividends. So I posted clips from last week's show on TikTok, and it has, I'm not sure if it's resulted in new listeners. I haven't actually checked the stats on that yet. I don't even know how I would be able to, it might just be an uptick. I get very few downloads. And mostly always have. And because of my lack of persistence, generally, I tend to give up after a little while, or give up's maybe not the right word, but I get overwhelmed, and then I kind of fall off the productivity train that we're all supposed to be so happy to be on. It's such a privilege, isn't it? Isn't it a privilege to give all of your best years to a system that will be grateful if you die before you become an expensive old person? That's nice. It's nice. Don't take vacations. Don't take days off. Don't complain. If you get sick, go to work, spread the illness, or if it's some sort of physical injury, keep working through it like I did, which is why I am now unable to do anything. This wrist thing sucks, man. I could do editing. I could probably handle an editing job off of stuff. Another is let me be a little arrogant for a moment. I'm a very good video editor. I'm a very good woodworker. Both of those skills require obsessive meticulousness, which is useful. and maybe some sort of taste that's being executed in the eventual delivery of the deliverable. But I hate it. I fucking hate editing. I hate staring at these computers. I hate staring at my phone all the time. And I'm fighting that. I'm trying to do better. Let me turn the fan down just one to the slower one so it's not so loud. I'm trying to get away from the phone. I'm trying to stop being gnawed upon by these toothless zombies. They're not toothless, though. They have nematodes, the thingies that are in the sea anemones, the little spike needle that comes out and goes. You've seen them on the microscope videos. The sea anemones that catch I've actually felt these things grab my hands since I used to work with aquariums. It feels a little sticky. I wasn't touching the ones that are like poisonous or that'll like, swell up a rash or something. And it's like this constant feeding upon your mind and you can tell you're being manipulated, but you can't stop doom scrolling. You can't stop. Okay, one more. I'll just check Twitter again. Now I'll flip over to this. Now I'll flip over. I laid down to read 20 minutes ago and I'm still on my fucking phone. And, part of that, I think, also sources from a lack of social interaction, in general. Another of my projects for the year is to try to reconnect with some friends. It's gotten lonely around here in terms of that. I see a lot of people bringing this up. I just started the show thinking I'm not going to have anything to talk about, but here we go. Seeing a lot of people talk about how you lose your friends in your 30s or you just stop making, and then there's been some research I've seen, so I don't have them in front of me, where they show like they've surveyed how many friends could you count on in a short note or, whatever, like in an intense kind of like how many friends will show up and have your back. And it used to be like 3 or 4 and now it's like 1 or 0. It's like that people's reporting of that has gone down. I'm not at the very lowest. I'm just thinking right now about seeing, and LA has a homeless, I don't want to say it's a problem. United States has a severe psychological and literal material disorder where we are tolerant. Our culture makes it rational to not help people who are sitting there suffering, asking for help. It would be irrational to bring one of those people into your home because it would cause you too much stress to do it. We just let them sit on the sidewalks and sit on the streets and wait for the police to come steal their things and break their things and kick them out or charge them with whatever criminal charges they can get so that some private company can make money off of their incarceration. It's terrible. It's just, I'm calling them a homeless problem. I don't like thinking of those people as a problem. I mean, it is the word is probably appropriate because it's something that needs to be solved. But these are humans who we ignore, and it hurts us to ignore them. You're supposed to feel shame. You don't like making eye contact with homeless people, do you? I don't. It hurts. I feel it. Because I don't know. It's just to me, it's like this. The American and the modern compact of social interaction is, we all sort of follow it. But the human compact is like, oh, this person's suffering, and we're just going to keep walking. Anyway, I remember seeing this one young woman. She had a sign, and it said "on my own." It was just, it just said "on my own." And I feel like I'm on my own a lot, but I have a lot of privilege and support, and and this is partially what the homeless serve. Man, I did not plan on talking about homeless people today. Serve our rulers is that they are a kind of keep yourself in line or you'll end up like them. They're a threat. Their presence is useful, which might not be a direct conspiracy to say we need to have suffering people clogging the cities so that people know that they need to stay in line. But fixing it becomes a conspiracy of neglect. We don't need to why fix it? We could pay a bunch of cops overtime to go beat them up. But meanwhile, the rest of society is going to be a little more obedient. Well, why? There's no incentives to fix it, and it wouldn't be costly to fix. We have the money to fix it. We have the housing to fix it. We have the space to fix it. We have the technology to fix it. We have the food. We have the jobs. If we, ultimately we want everybody to be working, but we don't have the humanity. We don't have the sense of collective responsibility. We don't have the sense of personal responsibility towards others. We've been all trained to have a personal responsibility to ourselves. And I think in times of precarity, which means all the time, life's not supposed to be this hard. We're not supposed to always live in precarity, but we are conditioned. The whole world especially America, has always been a evolving conditioning to make sure that we mind our place, that we know our role. That has, and they explicitly state, Alan Greenspan, I don't know which year, but he was once quoted saying that his job, he was the head of the Federal Reserve for a very long time. Plus, Andrea, I almost said Andrea Chalupa. What the hell's her name? Andrea, she's one of the big NBC, one of those bigwig news reporter people. Andrea Chalupa? Why is it Chalupa in my brain? That's not right at all. Anyway, a government regulator, a very, very, very high profile government regulator with a very high profile news journalist, of course. Andrea, damn. I know I could Google it. It'd be very easy. But so he once was quoted saying, like, it's my job to maintain a certain level of insecurity in the population. That's the goal, is to make sure your precarity is never solved. And it works. It's such a great way. This is the stress dividend thing I was talking about last week. So where the hell is it going? Oh, she was on that sign that said "on my own," and my heart breaks for that young person, that woman. And it, as much as I often feel alone, that contrast is very, very, very stark. Obviously, I am very fortunate to have, some of my privileges, all of my privileges. I just didn't say some, but I'm still living in a stressful burnout kind of cycle that is still much of a thing. Now that I have no income, no idea what's next for me career wise. I'd love to continue to. I mean, I feel like I almost have to now. It's almost forcing me to like step the fuck up and talk and try to do this. The screens that I'm rebelling against are probably never going to go away for, the collapse of society is likely to take a little while, to the point where the electricity all goes away. Who knows what sort of stages of degradation we'll drop into, but screens are here. Screens are surrounding us, and it's a very interesting kind of illustration of the personal responsibility you have over your own choices within the context of a society that makes it so you have to have a smartphone to be alive. Especially if you're pursuing a career like me, you need to be online, putting shit out there, posting. I don't know. I do it so badly. I think I'd much probably will find my stride and find my footing when I team up with other people on some sort of bigger projects or something. So that's kind of something I'm open-minded about, and I'm trying to do. But it is important to maintain your health, maintain your brain health, maintain your body health. In fact, so one of the things I've kind of dialed in on TikTok, it's still fucking social media bullshit. You're still scrolling through some stuff. TikTok is actually you can pause videos and read the comments or something, or, you don't have, but if you scroll to a video, it just starts playing. So you're sort of in an autoplay thing, which can feel a little bit much in terms of just like the social medias where you read. But I have actually only this week. And so I want to be very clear. Like I am in no way professing any knowledge or deep understanding. But the concept of neurodivergence is kind of recently entered the forefront of my psyche, thanks to stuff on TikTok that I've come across. And the algorithms try to figure out what you're going to watch and what you're going to, and whatever you watch more of, it'll give you more of that, more or less. But it also try some new things, and some like the stretching guy. I wasn't looking for stretching advice. Just suddenly this rubber pretzel dude is giving me very efficient stretching advice. And I was like, oh, this guy's all right. I'll click on his name. I'll see what other stuff he's got. And now I have the most flexible hips in the Los Angeles metro area, which is pretty cool. But the neurodivergent thing is a topic that I'm very interested and curious about. I've only done a little bit of reading, like a couple of Reddit posts, and they were thoughtful though, and it kind of summarized it as a shifting away from terms like mental illness or mental disability and whatever. Mental illness is a word I've used for years and years to talk about myself, and I don't know. I think it might be an interesting lens for contextualizing people or the ways that our psychology is influenced by our world. It also seems to me like another and I related to much of it. Autism, ADHD, ADD, those sorts of diagnosable things or whatever. Forgive me if I'm not explain or describing those with the sensitivity that they deserve. All those things sort of fall under the notion of neurodivergent versus neurotypical. And as one of the Reddit posts explained, that it's shifting the mindset from saying you have a problem to you are different, which I kind of understand. I kind of am down with that. I think, and I'm open-minded and curious enough to learn more about this and to listen to people who are talking about it, who have obviously spent much more time developing their own sense of it and stuff like that. So just starting out, kind of getting used to it. And the stuff I relate to is like, I've always been real weird. Sorry, fellow weirdos. I've always struggled to connect with people, and I've always been sensitive to noises and sounds, although in the last 5 years, that's gotten much worse. I think partially from burnout and stuff like that. But yeah, like I've always had odd-ish behaviors that weren't so dominant that they could overwhelm my more dominant issues, which is depression mainly. Anxiety is certainly making a play for the number one spot in the last 2 or 3 years. That's for sure. Versus depression. I feel like I've got a better grip on my depression than I do on my anxiety, even though but it's all another thing that or concept that I've stepped into, a wing of this mansion I'm exploring, is like highly sensitive person. There's another one of those too that it's a separate concept that's similar, which is another thing I relate to very much, including the kind of empathy thing that isn't necessarily regulated. I would love to not have. I cry at every Cialis commercial. Every time. Because he's going to mess up her makeup. No, they're always like 70. Why did I make it? Why did I do that joke? Oh, hold on. I can't. So yeah, the notion of neurodivergence is intriguing because, and it fits in with a lot of my conceptualization of our older beliefs, our older attitudes, our older concepts like shame, these like sort of social, systemically induced, systemically imbued social patterns, and the way that those things sort of fold over through the generations. That I'm pretty persuaded, or at least I have this notion that it's we're burdened by our past. We're burdened by the bullshit, the deranged social mores of people of our ancestors. And by ancestors, I don't mean the deep core ancestors, the hunter-gatherer types, or even the firmly rooted in civilization people who, from the last 10,000 years, who certainly lived in different civilizational type of living situations. Although often with a lot of the same themes that we struggle with today, like having to work for motherfuckers you don't feel like working for. Because it's always true that the core truth of capitalism, that work is easier when someone else does it. That's just it. That's the fucking fundamental seed of all capitalism. Work is easier if you don't have to work. Work's easy when you don't work. That's why you pay someone to work. And then you get to keep their labor, their value, which is our abstraction of their time. Their cosmic right to their entropic contribution to being alive can be harvested in the form of abstract quantity, and that's what we call money. I think a lot about money. I want to I'd love to make a documentary about money, just to explore these types of things in very like philosophical ways and literal ways, and because these are abstract concepts. Money is comparable to language. This is just a thought I had like a couple weeks ago. I don't have any idea what the fuck I'm saying. Money is comparable to language in terms of its abstractive. It's an abstraction of an intangible concept, but it has extremely real power. Language is very powerful. The clicks, the noises we make with our mouths are, there's a gene that is a major stepping point during human evolution. I don't know the gene exactly, but where they think that had something to do with the way our tongues work. Have you ever seen those X-rays? If you're feeling like seeing something kind of gross, but also sort of amazing, it's not as gross as like Googling a rash on the fucking internet. But there's been some X-rays of someone's tongue while they talk, and it is just this little, and it's this amazing tool, this amazing thing. And apparently that's like a distinctive shift in humanity that they don't think that other hominids had. Perhaps some of the ones that are sort of close to us might have, or something. We're still learning all this stuff. So our bodies literally evolved in order to provide a vessel for this abstraction. The abstraction of language is evolutionarily extremely advantageous. So abstractions are real, even though they're made up, right? Because that's how behavior flows from our social push and pull of the way we comprehend each other, the way we relate to each other, all those other ways the assumptions we make about each other, and all those other sort of things. And money is an abstraction of time. I think the future, a moneyless future, is not necessarily moneyless, or currency-less. It should be a currency based on time. Everybody gets to spend 24 a day. Because when you look at the monstrosity of these billionaires, the 100 millionaires, or of just your boss who's a dickhead, they're taking your money. You are offering them your time in exchange for some money, but the full value of your time is bigger than what you walk away with. And money allows them to store your time like a battery. Your work charges their bank account. If you think of a bank account like a battery, and then of course within the market, they can sell it for more, or if there's irrational exuberance going on, that's another Alan Greenspan reference for your Greenspaniacs out there. If there's some, there are also sort of the magical forces of market expectation and marketing in the ways that they can make things seem more valuable than they really are, withholding them for value, like the De Beers Diamond Company does. That's a very literal example. But the kind of irrationality that sort of flows out of big bubbles, basically. So your time should be the God that we worship, not money. That's kind of what I was saying in one of the TikToks I posted about how our founding fathers were rejecting monarchy, which is a divine form of royalty, for economic royalty, meaning that we're really done. And the whole world was undergoing that. And it wasn't even necessarily a conscious or deliberate process. I mean, certainly deliberate choices were made during the time, but the amoeba demon that eventually now is fully, almost, I'd say pretty much fully covered the earth with its irrationality of capitalism, the fully, completely insane ways that we produce and distribute goods. That's what's completely taken over. But they were, fuck, I forgot my train of thought. God damn it. Okay. I kind of lost my train of thought, but like what I was getting at though is like the presence of God was very, it was the ultimate power that they deferred to, even though it just meant they were deferring to some humans, motivation, somebody with more power. But it was the organizing concept that justified the hierarchy. And what we have now is an economic version of that. We have an organizing concept that justifies a hierarchy, which is how much of other people's time have you charged to your battery? You've got a big swollen battery. Well, guess what? You get to buy newspapers. You get to buy politicians. You get to buy land. You get to buy people. We said no more buying people. Okay, now you get to rent people and still treat them like fucking shit. That's what we call wage labor or wage slavery. So the bigger you can charge up your battery by harvesting other people's labor, other people's value, not to mention the actual minerals and raw materials we pull out of the earth. Those are the structures of power that we need to upend. That's still vertical. It's not any different than it ever fucking was. In fact, it's getting worse over the time compared our era right now to the Gilded Age, for instance. So I don't know. I'm jumping all over the place with this. So try TikTok. Try TikTok. Who knows? Or go look up mine. Just give me a shout out on there if you are on it. That would be nice. I am kind of optimistic about it though, because it does seem like with trying to promote a podcast and do a show, I'm trying to reach people, and you actually have to try. You have to do stuff to do that. So I'm Twitter, I'm objectively horrible at. It does not work for me. Some people hop on there within a couple of months. They've got the right rhythm down. I've typed like many 50,000 tweets. I started in 2009. I've done a lot of tweeting. It's embarrassing. And it's also not worked at all in terms of like building an audience. I've made some fun connections on there. I still look at Twitter. It seems to be where stuff happens first in terms of like news. And it's unfortunately it's a big part of my screen diet, which is, I've already rambled about that. So yeah, but maybe TikTok will help drive that. It might lead towards, I know actually I've seen job postings where people are looking for editing TikTok, people that are familiar with the TikTok platform. So in a way, it's also helping to build a resume. I'd much rather not have to work for anybody, but I of course will if I have to, which I do have to pretty soon. And yeah, that's gonna ramble. I posted. I don't know. All the social platforms can offer their own thing for your growth. It also means I think trying standalone videos and other stuff. And if I hadn't spent the last 2 days animating me feeding a demon money, the boss, it's a character that you're going to see some more of too. This sort of a cartoonish sort of vampire. It's just an orb. It's just a black orb, a fucking evil vampire orb with a necktie. And you can see that on TikTok if you go check it out. Wicklock on TikTok. So good. God damn. Sorry. I'm going to do this one short. It's already 34 minutes. Holy crap. Yeah. I'm not going to say goodbye just now, but I've got a couple notions of thoughts. So yeah, I think there's some interesting things to explore there in the time battery. The idea that your whole existence shouldn't be boiled down to how much did you help somebody who doesn't need more stuff charge up their battery even more. And we should limit the size of people's batteries, their wealth that they are able to accumulate. They are piles. If you look at a pile of money, of someone else's money, who's made it off of the labor of others, or off of land inheritance, or off of this the luck of their birth, and anybody who says they made all their money off their own hard work, that's not the full story by any stretch. They didn't lay the pavement. They didn't create the education system that allowed for there to be a market for people who wanted to buy their stupid software. They didn't invent fire. Humans, our superpower. Here we go. Settle in, everybody. This is it. Human superpower is cooperation. That's what we do. That's our superpower. It's so powerful that we lost. Our bodies became these weak little fucking things. I mean, a fit human is a pretty tough thing. Can run a lot. Can be kind of scary. Can punch you, knock you out. But compared to other animals, compared to predators, even non-predators, a cow shrugs its shoulder, it bumps its head up in the wrong way, and your jaw will just crack apart and go flying. Like, humans are fairly weak. Our skin is, we cut easy. We're not like rhinoceroses, but we're so dominant because 5 weak ass little naked apes, us working together, can take down a rhinoceros or something, or something like that. I'm saying, like, but it's our cooperation together. But we work together in the same space with the people who we are alive with. I think of that as like a horizontal form of cooperation, which is what I strive for, what I think we all should strive for, which is more getting along to get along, more horizontal cooperation, working with people. We all have the same interests. We all have the same fucking interests. We want to be safe, and we want to feel connected, and we want to have more days of happiness than sadness. In the very best lived life, you're going to still have heartbreak and grief. Death is going to be present. The way we allow death to be present, we put it into this denial chamber in America. Our relationship with death is, I think, is one of the most tormented parts of our collective psyche right now. And it probably will be for a long time. But there's another form of cooperation that exists across a vertical axis, and that's knowledge. The human who invented fire, lightning strikes, and then they figured out how to start their own fires and stuff. And it was lightning. I think lightning was the main source for a while. I'm not trying to say I know everything, know all of that exactly, but as we gained knowledge over the natural world and over other things, that knowledge was transmissible. Other animals transmit knowledge via instinct, which is a very slow process of developing a bird's instinctive knowledge, that when it finally takes that leap off the ledge or out of the nest, it should start flapping its wings. That's an instinct. It's a technique that it's born with. And in order for an animal to develop that, a lot of animals have to hit a lot of ducks had to go careening straight into the ground before it worked. That's a simplification. But teaching, and its corollary might not be the right word, learning, those will go hand in hand. Teaching is bypassing the process of using instinct to transmit knowledge. And now we're using language and memory, and then written stuff and digital, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But learning from the past is a collective superpower. My hero, Joe Rogan, has a bit about if you're in the woods, how long before you send an email? And then there's like 10 minutes of laughter. The point he makes, though, and this is the sort of level I'm on is like, stoned college student philosophy. Saw some shit on the internet. The point there is that you didn't build that. If you were starting from scratch in the woods, like our ancestors did, it's going to take a long time before you're building computers. It's also my argument for why I think alien civilizations are likely to be social animals like we are, because it's really hard to, I just can't imagine how you can build a radio tower in one lifetime if you don't already have metallurgy and some sort of electricity knowledge that can, who knows, whatever. I'll tell you how exo civilizations are formed another day in a rambly mess of a podcast. So, but we're immortal across time. We get to experience not just the knowledge of the past and build our world on that. And now we're destroying our world using the knowledge of the past because we can't stop consuming. We can't stop making plastic. I think plastic, and it's not precisely plastic, but it's, goddamn, if I've gotten into some mental loops where I just look around and spot the plastic. That's a fun game. It's a nice way to torture yourself. Look around at all the plastic around you. And everything that you see that's plastic was shipped at multiple stages of its development, from being a puddle of ooze that should have stayed in the ground to all the facilities where it was processed, converted into the chemicals, ethylene and all the other sort of plastics chemicals, and then formed into this really useful substance. And it's useful for the very same reason it's very dangerous, which is that it's inert. It doesn't break down. It takes forever, or it does break down, but it never really goes away. And then of course now there's stuff regarding like plastics being, possibly poisonous to your, so all the microwaving in plastic I'm trying to stop. But I don't know the science about any of that stuff. And actually my brother would be a good person to talk to. He's a neuroscience professor. I know he's done some research on sort of pollutants and stuff like that. So all this knowledge that we've built upon, but there's also an emotional experience that we get to enjoy from the past. When you read a book or watch a movie from someone who's dead, you're inhabiting that person's consciousness, or at least a slice of it. But you're inhabiting it by simulating it. I don't think there's ESP. There's not this like you're reading minds. There's intuitive. What seems like that can be, or in my view, is that's just persons who have more accurate empathy. When they're running in their brain how you're feeling or something like that, they're just more highly tuned into that. I feel like that's me. It's also something that I've read about the neurodivergent world, because it's certainly not, I'm not trying to say there's only one characteristic or one slate that qualifies you as neurodivergent, but like highly creative, sometimes with emotional issues, like a lot of the markers, I'm like, God damn, that's like fucking right in there, man. And it is, I think it is a safer, not safer is not the right word, but it is none of it will ever be totally accurate, like perfect, but we're circling the center more. We're sort of descending tighter and tighter into the event horizon of this conception well that we're trying to understand things. That's also how, like, a lot of people love to have definitive understandings of things, and I think it's good to just say like, okay, this is a different kind of framework, but it may or may not help us be more accurate, but we're approaching this from a different angle. We're scanning the mountain with some different pathways, and we're going to learn more about this topographical feature that we're trying to understand. Because we're talking about the soft sciences, emotional stuff, psychology. That's just not, it's not math. It's just not. And it might not ever be. Probably not. There's so many ways for this to get confused, of course. And it's also why, like in Rocket League, goddamn, people get so upset at you if you make a mistake. Like if you fuck up and you screw up or something. There's millions of ways to screw up at Rocket League. It's one of the reasons it's so popular, is because it very closely grasps what it feels like to play a sport. I've seen like professional athletes say that. I've seen one, but it's a huge audience, that Rocket League, but it really does actually get you closer to like the emotions of real competition, because there's like tempo and momentum and your confidence, and like everybody who's played any sport that requires finesse, almost all sports really, the mental part of it is very much a factor as much as anything else. But the odd thing on the internet where people freak out if you screw up, they suddenly turn toxic, which is just a thing you're going to find in any online community, unfortunately, especially the big ones, particularly the ones where young men gather. The misunderstanding there is that there are no mistakes. There are only probabilities. And not everybody, I think, intuitively understands that. I feel like I do for some reason. But there's nuance. The nuance isn't that you screwed up. The best athletes in the world, Michael Jordan and I grew up in Chicago, outside Chicago during the Bulls' heyday. So like I can't not talk about, if I talk about basketball, not the only reference, but like Michael Jordan's just like he's my Elvis, you know. Young teens were screaming for the Beatles. I was at the airport screaming at Michael Jordan. I would go. I would go. Yeah. They shot me with one of those bird shotguns, those bird pellet guns that they use, right in the tuchus. Michael Jordan misses stuff all the time. And if you watch professional sports, players are always making mistakes. They'll throw the ball and the guy's not there because the guy thought he was supposed to be over there. The difference is, and this is true for every sport, not basketball, is that they're just more likely to make the shot. They also have the physical advantage, you know. So, you know, Rocket League, all the cars, They do have different hit boxes. I'm such a fucking dork. So the analogy falls apart in the physical side of this comparison, but it's just about likelihood. It's just about, you're more likely. Michael Jordan and I are shooting free throws. He's a lot more likely to hit it than I am. I'll get 2 out of 10. He'll do 9 or 10. 8 if he's having a stressful day or if his cigar hasn't kicked in. So probabilities, though, I'm not trying to talk about Rocket League. I'm trying to talk about probability. Probability is a major part of a way of assessing the intensity of the confidence that you should have as far as what you think will or will not happen. Confidence is very comforting. Certainty is very comforting. So people lean into those, and irrationally so most of the time. It's also more simple to just have a declarative, this is what happens, even if you're fucking wrong. A lot of the politics, a lot of the political perceptions out there in the world look to me, I just see it and I go, oh, that's just someone I see opinions on the internet and I don't even think like, oh, that's the wrong take. It's just more like, oh, I see how that person thinks. I can kind of get a sense for where they get their information. It's not so much that they're right or wrong. Of course I agree or disagree with a lot of it. And there's a whole hell of a lot of shit to disagree with right now. It's terrifying. But it's more just about, these are someone giving you their crappy opinion or their, displaying their ugly personality. That's often just information that they're offering you. So yeah, I'm not sure what the fuck point I'm trying to make necessarily, because didn't plan on talking about any of this stuff. So anyway, good. We're at 40 something minutes. We're getting back to normal though. COVID is gone. COVID is dead. It's over. Take off your mask. Breathe out loud. Indoors. Cough in a stranger's face. I have anxiety every time I go out though, man. These doctor's visits. As soon as, and partially it's just like this process of this workers' comp situation is pretty stressful overall. I'm still grateful that I have this resource currently, but I've hoped to date in the next whatever, alleviate some of the loneliness. I don't know if you should put that in your profile. I'm just here because I'm lonely, but why would that be bad? I don't know. I feel like that's an honesty. It's honest, isn't it? But how I handle COVID is I'm on the higher scale of like, I don't want to go into a restaurant. I don't want to sit. I don't even want to go to like an outdoor part of a restaurant. The waiters are either wearing masks or not. I've been walking more, actually, something I'm trying to do to get my brain going. The last 2 days I've gotten up in the morning and I've done a walk before 8 a.m., before 7 a.m. Actually, today I was up at 6 something. So that's good. And I see people out at restaurants and I've been walking more and more, and not all the waiters wear masks. Some of them do. Definitely most of the passengers, most of the customers aren't wearing masks. In a dating scenario though, and this is what I'm thinking about my own, when I put up a profile, I'm just going to be really upfront about my my comfort levels right now. And I've learned more about that now that I've been going to the doctor more. And like today I was in an elevator with like 6 people, under a foot, real close. One guy's on the phone, although he was wearing a mask, but a lady comes in, no mask. She puts on her mask. It's like, are we and this is America, man. People go to work sick. They go out sick. They, the notion that you should just stay home and get better isn't, and that's not a moral failing or a personal failing. That's a structural design feature, because we don't have a culture of taking sick days. We don't have a culture of looking out for each other. We have a culture of limited in-group concern, but not this collective mentality that you have a responsibility to strangers. I think that's actually what we've gotten, like this whole getting back to normal. People don't really, of course everybody wants the pandemic to end. I think that's universal. No one would if we could flip a switch and it'd be over, of course we'd all be for that, I think. God knows, except for the fucking like companies that are making a profit off of it right now. But getting back to normal for a lot of people, especially in this country, that just means going back to not having to care about others, because that's what's normal in America. Dismissing other people's pain, explaining away their unfortunate circumstance, using the assumptions built into hyper individualism. is to say they made bad choices. That's why they're homeless. They made bad choices. That's why they're working at Walmart at 85 years old. They made bad choices. That's why they're in that crappy car that's broke down on the side of the road. Fuck them. They shouldn't have made bad choices. Maybe if they had made better choices, we wouldn't have to have this conversation where I ignore them anyway. So our culture is designed to condition us to ignore, to dismiss, to write off other people's suffering. Because we've always, from before our nation was founded, always lived in the presence of death, of grief, of improperly processed grief, of chronic abuse, of inequality, of women being subjugated to men, of minorities being subjugated to all of us, to society, to ourselves being subjugated to our bosses, ourselves being subjugated to our own our own conditioning, the ways that we shame and guilt are just basically malware from the vertical hierarchy implanted in your mind so that you do a lot of the work. Reload on it every week if you're a Catholic or Christian or something. The abuses in those churches are just fucking criminal, man. None of those churches should be tax exempt. That's insane. Mostly for their political things, not necessarily because of the abuse stuff. But a decent society would lock up and arrest most of those. No, I shouldn't say most, but the people who are committing heinous acts, because these are subjugative. That's not a word. Institutions. Where the hell is I going with all this? God damn it. Okay, losing my train of thought too much here, so I'm going to end it pretty soon. Normal for Americans is being in the presence of someone else's suffering or stress and explaining it away. Or not, if you're lucky, not even acknowledging it in any sense, not even being able to process it in any way, other than maybe as a threat assessment. The American psyche, I think, is also being so close to this power station, this like humming power station of violence. Violence is, when we talk about guns, you're talking about insecurity and violence. You're talking about fear, the threat that someone will hurt you, and that the foundational insecurity of society that removes autonomy and power and connection, and you're isolated and you're alone, you're atomized. You're alienated from your own labor, from your own product, from meaning the production of what you build. If you build stuff, or if you make stuff, or if it doesn't have to be a physical thing. If you contribute to some project, you're alienated from the value of that, from what happens to it. All of those are ways of degrading your humanity, so that you'll be less of a resistance fighter to the rulers. You're just not going to put up a fight. I think I switched to a different sort of tone on that sentence there. But we are always being affected by this electrical field of violence, living near this power station of violence, because guns are about power. Guns are about dominance. And the fundamental insecurity of living in a world where you don't have much of a say in the course of your life. You can maybe choose which vampire feeds on you, but you don't get to decide how much they take. All I'm asking for, all I think we're fighting for, those of us on the left, I would push for way past this, but I don't think you can just flip a switch and get past this. But we just need to get to the point where we have a say, not even that it's our decision fully, but we should have a say over how much the vampires take. Because the vampires, they don't want to give you a say. That's what union busting is. That's what fighting any kind of worker organizing or worker empowerment or helping you with your debt, student debt, charging a lot of money for college, making rental, living in order to access your own human rights. You better work. Being alive is expensive. Get to work. And that's not because of the design of the people who are being fed upon. It's the design of the vampires who have an endless thirst to drink your blood. And when I say blood, I mean time. They're charging their fucking battery with your time. That's what employment is. And it's disgusting. And there should be caps on that. Limit the size of these batteries. Limit the size of the amount of wealth you can accumulate. Every single rule in society, and there are millions. I mean, I don't know, count them all, but there are hundreds. Like every industry has regulations. Every industry has ways that you're allowed to build stuff, things that you're supposed to do. Some of it doesn't make sense. Some of it makes sense. It should be one of those ongoing things a society does, is it turns a little bit towards safety and towards fairness by altering regulations as it makes sense to, for what's best for people, for the greater good. Those in power don't like regulations because regulations are a imposition on their freedom to control, their freedom to not have to spend money and take advantage of people and take advantage of the situations. That's what the lobbying industry is. That's what that's what the whole fucking political industry is. This fascistic unification between corporate and government interests is devastating for the rest of us. It's really nice for those who are on the receiving end of the corn shoot, but not those of us that have to have our mouths ripped open so that they can take our teeth and usually run the corn cobs through them in order to get the kernels off. That's how Chipotle gets their corn. We're sponsored by Chipotle, by the way. No, they've done some union busting, those motherfuckers. Fucking scumbags. So, normal for America is, that's why the pandemic can be, we can be, people can say they're getting back to normal. Going on trips, going to parties, going to bars, going to crowded things, going to, not having to wear a mask. Because the mask is being forced to care about others. And that's really hard if you don't care about others. That's really hard if you can't care about others. You can't perceive it as an act of communal goodwill. You only perceive it as something to be reviled. This is an imposition on my freedom. And every single law, every single limitation is a limit on your freedom. Every single one of them. And we all accept lots of that. Way more than it in other countries. You would be so much freer in a socialist society where your basic human needs weren't commodified. Where you didn't have the stress of, can I afford food? Can I afford medicine? This whole I'm not sick, but I'm injured. This whole thing is like the worst part by far is the fucking money issue in terms of the stress, which prolongs the healing process and allows for those who have figured out how to game the system to continue to benefit from the system the way it is. They don't want to solve stress. So the mask is a symbol of oppression to some, and a indicator of respect for others. If I see someone wearing a mask, and I even outside, I saw someone had a mask on. I was I knew I was going to walk close up. I put my mask on just to show, like, hey, I see your mask. You want to call that virtue signaling? Go ahead. Yeah, it's probably what it is. Good. I want that person to know that there's they just shared a sidewalk with someone who is mindful of their interests as well, with the simple act of putting a mask on for a moment. Even though I understand that outdoor transmission like that would be highly, highly unlikely. Although I do occasionally walk through some like crowded areas where people are outside eating, and yeah, that's where I can't think about like the dating. I need to find somebody who's just like, yeah, we'll just hang out, we'll do stuff. I mean, you could probably talk me into going to a patio or something, or go to a sidewalk cafe or something. But I like when the waiters are wearing masks, it's like, what are we doing here? Like we're being served by people who are wearing plague gear. which is just not relaxing. I mean, I would prefer waiters wear masks. They should be wearing masks. So yeah, I'm just going to be very upfront about that when I get back to dating in my profile. This has been a real messy show. I got to tell you that. My head's a little bit fried from all this animating I've done lately, honestly. I've been really trying to push to get this shit done. So I'm going to work on that. I was just going to go through some mail, actually, by the way. I know this is a big jump here. I want to share with you, it's election season here in Los Angeles in California. The primary is on Tuesday next week on the 7th of June. And I have a fucking pile. Look at this shit. A huge, this is just crap that has, I dug it out. This is about a week or two of mail from all these freaking things. And it's just such a waste, man. I hate junk mail. Why don't we have, this is just an old man complaint. Why is it not easier to opt out of mail? Same with the fucking phones and the spam. Can't we devote some of this gargantuan information, put the NSA, the CIA, the military onto these telecommunications companies that allow for this shit to happen, or onto these scammers that are calling all the time? Do something about that, you fucking government. Same thing with junk mail, though. All I do is toss out just paper. Just throw out paper. Just put it in the garbage. Oh, yeah, we don't need that ink. We don't need that stuff. It's just going to sit there and rot. And this is all really nicely printed crap. Like heavy stock, more or less. It's a multiple color pictures, full photo color, RGB. That stands for expensive. Okay, this ain't a 2-color print job. All right, it's not green and brown. It's red, cyan, and blue. But we got just tons and tons of this stuff. As this is supposed to be persuasive. Another part of the grift is like the buyers for these ad campaigns, especially the television purchasers, there's consultants that say, yes, we should put it in these markets. And then they take like 25% of the cost. It's one of the reasons why the Democratic Party is such a fucking, grift. So here, okay, we got Karen Bass, we got Katie Young, we got Faisal Gill. What's he running for? Faisal, what are you running for? I don't know everybody here. Faisal's running for Los Angeles City Attorney. All right. We got Henry Stern. That's my name. Sam Yebri. This one doesn't have, it's people crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Sidney Kamlager. Katie Young, your Glasgow. Katie Young, I don't know. What it is, something like that. Sidney Kamlager again. All right, good. Faisal Gill. There you are, buddy. Teddy Kapoor, Scott Epstein, LA City Council. I just dropped one. Let's see. Lola Smallwood. That's kind of a cool name. Smallwood. I like that. I don't know. It has a nice ring to it. It has a very Hobbit kind of quality to it, doesn't it? I would go by Hanky Tiny Weenie. Flip Flop. That's Katie Young. Okay. That's an anti-Katie Young one. Here is Bob Hertzberg. A doggy. 14 out of 10. Would pet again. Sam Yebri. All right, for LA City Council. Okay, let's see what they're running for. Democratic. This is ladies and Supervisor Holly Mitchell supports Lola Smallwood. These are what the fuck. This one. Election Digest. Hold on, let me cover my address here. Golden Eagle. No, that's a bald eagle. Let me tell you something. They're not actually bald. It's just white feathers. They're not bald. This is bald. Although an eagle that was bald like me would be hilarious. I want eagles to have male pattern baldness. That would make me very happy. Bald eagle. Come on, get out of here. They have way more confidence than we balds. Actually, I've seen a lot of very confident bald men. I've been a confident bald man at sometimes in my past. That was always fun. The only times I ever got laid. Let's see. Extra. Los Angeles Times endorses Katie Young Yarvalaski. Lola Smallwood. You guys have really been putting out the stuff here. Sidney Kamlager. Elect Cheryl Turner, State Senate District 28. All right. Good luck, Cheryl. Hope you win. Faisal Gill again. Sydney. Okay. All right. There's a lot more. Here's one though that I saw. My man, the one, the only. Democracy under attack. Guess who this is? Hold on, let me just rip off the address here so we don't get former coworker of mine, Michael motherfucking Shure. Guess his slogan? No, it's not surely you can't be serious. No, it's not. I didn't write any of this ahead of time, so I'm trying to come up with stuff. No, it's not. No, it's not surefire way to fix democracy. That'd be good. It's sure we can. Oh my God. That's kind of like a slightly more approachable Obama slogan. Yes, we can. It's very formal. Sure we can. That's just a cool Sunday school teacher. You know? I love it. Michael Shure, I've had conversation with him. He would recognize me. He might know my name. I think he probably would. You know, like a lot of people out there from TYT, or you just sort of kind of close, like Dave Rubin. I've done stand up on the same show as Dave Rubin. Like he would know my name, I think. But but other people at TYT would be like, oh yeah, you're that, yeah, you worked at TYT. Like they wouldn't know my name. I bet he might. I'd be curious to find that out. He's actually running to be my congressperson. I've actually quite enjoy his campaign. It's very, I don't want to say it's milquetoast. It's more like Pleasantville, where it seems just like there's no, and he's a knowledgeable dude about politics. He's sort of in the centrist side of things. He kind of is more in the centrist is a fair term, but also like he sort of has an older viewpoint of politics in terms of, again, I've been watching the Young Turks since the mid 2000s, and he's been a lot of time. So I've watched him over the years. And his analysis is often very like completely uninvolved referee. He certainly, you know, he's pals with Cenk Uygur and pals with the Young Turks and Ben Minkowitz, so he's on the left side of things. I could think of a lot worse people to be in Congress. I doubt he's not a fire-breathing, burn it all down leftist that I would prefer. And I haven't looked up his particular issues, but let's just read this through here. Michael Shure has held Washington accountable as a journalist, and now he will be accountable to you. He means me. I'm one of his constituents. The time for talk is over, and we need someone who will do something. That's Joe Biden's slogan. Would somebody please do something? Oh, zoinks. Oh, hey, Scoob. That's my Joe Biden impression. Somebody do something. It's getting scary. Donald Trump also used to scream, do something on Twitter. I think I recall there was a time. I don't remember what it was, but okay. Final check here. His unique knowledge of government will get things done. That's in all caps. Get things done is in all caps, which is just great choice. Great choice. Don't do all caps the entire thing. I've made that mistake. And he will tell your story in DC. All right. He's ready for the fight from day one. Okay. Some of these motherfuckers, you know what they say? They're only going to start on day 3. They're going to take a couple days to soak it in. Not Michael. He's putting on his expensive loafers. He's tucking in his expensive shirt. He's putting his blazer on. He's taking his tie off, rolling up his sleeves, and he's going to start on day 1. I am dunking on him. He has not said anything about the Young Turks union busting. Michael, say something. Because the people that were whose rights Cenk tried to take away from the union busting campaign were people who worked, whose labor directly benefited you, Michael Shure. Yeah, I've searched his Twitter. I've looked for indicators that he's ever supported it or said anything, and of course he hasn't. As have almost virtually everybody who's in the TYT orbit. Very, 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 very little commentary. A few tweets from a couple of people during the union busting occurred, but there's been zero reporting. There's been zero. The only story about the union formation of the Young Turks is the announcement that they had ratified the contract 18 months later after a 2-month union busting campaign, which preceded the 18 months. So yeah, anyway, I feel like since he benefited directly from those workers' labor, that this guy, in order to earn my vote, would have to show some indication that he understands the gravity of being pals and chums with union busters and having nothing to say about it. You're really a journalist. You're going to stand up for working people, except you're going to go shake the hand of a union buster and not at all even bring it up. Same with Nina Turner. Jen said shit, man, and people dog her about it on Twitter all the time. They ask for, I don't see a ton of it, but people will mention that she has hosted, worked at TYT. She didn't have a show there when I was working there, but she's also benefited directly from the labor of these people whose rights Cenk tried to take away. So I have issues with these politicians. That's kind of why I wanted to talk about Michael Shure. Because he's going to be on the front lines fighting for our rights. And of course he used a quote. Let's see, Supreme Court has an abortion. He's got a Politico abortion quote, which is fine. That's okay. That's not necessary. I mean, referencing Politico can be problematic for sure, but they're just talking about how that they're going to get rid of abortion. But it's also on the top of a photo of how the freedoms of one of the January 6th insurrectionist people. So that's kind of an interesting contrast. I like Michael Shure. Actually, he's always kind of a pleasant guy. He has good energy. I'll be honest, like good dad energy. Not even dad energy, but just like, older guy that doesn't, you're around people and they put off a little weird vibe. He doesn't put off a weird vibe at all. So I'd be fine if he gets in, I guess. I'm going to follow the DSA basically in terms of who I vote for. I'd be shocked if he's the DSA recommended person for this district. But I'll probably make a video about this eventually. His campaign has been funny. It's been unintentionally the most hilarious and out of touch campaign. It just doesn't seem like he's trying to, I don't know. Go to his Twitter and scroll through it. And just a lot of his posts, they just kind of make me laugh. They just have a milquetoast quality to them that is, like he's outside like a Mexican restaurant or something. And like eating, like, I don't know. I didn't prepare to show anything of it here. So, I am dunking on a little bit, but the guy's been paying attention to this stuff for a very long time. It feels very, like a first timer trying, but also, I don't know. It's just something very, very peculiar about that. So I'm not saying I'm pulling for him, but there are far worse people in the world that could run, and I get why he wouldn't want to confront his friend about his anti-worker behavior. That would be a very uncomfortable conversation. Same with Nina Turner. That would be uncomfortable. Cenk has power. Cenk has influence. You might not go back on the show if you make him uncomfortable. So I think that's a large explanation for why there has been zero reporting on this incredible union busting at the Young Turks. I mean, from the journalists there, from the people who work there, who tell the audience that they're on their side, that they're telling the truth. Except there's some truths that would cause the boss discomfort. So those truths have to be told through different means, and they won't be seen on the Young Turks, which is interesting to me. Good. All right. I can feel sweat accumulating on my various brows, and I'm going to say goodbye. I've gone longer than I meant, and that's all right. We're going to put this up. Go to Wicklock on TikTok. See if you like it. You probably won't. Let me know if you hate it. That'd be cool. I don't care if you like it. I mean, I hope you like it. But final just comment on that, because I could just start saying the same thing over and over again. Every social media platform, especially the really big ones where like they have various categories. Like you can use Twitter, every social media platform is like a magazine rack. I'm old enough to remember Barnes and Noble and Borders bookstores where you'd walk in and there'd be like 7 rows of fully stocked magazines. And then you look through it and there's just topics that are like, what the fuck? Like there's all kinds of insanity. Golden Shower Monthly, Golden Shower Weekly. They never had a daily though. There was just a pile of wet newspapers. All that sort of incredible variety of interests that are out there are also sort of how these social media platforms work. So don't think of TikTok as just people dancing and pointing at different text things. There's that. Or hot girls dancing. Instagram has a lot of that. There's definitely, you can get on TikTok for the the bikini modeling that goes on. Our superior beings making their presence felt by provoking your instinctive response to go like, Woo! That's my Ace Ventura impression. I don't use it for that. I'm into the politics. I'm into sort of philosophy stuff, and I'm into like some of the psychology shit. I found cottagecore. I think I'm gonna get into the cottagecore thing. That's a fun one where you just you get rich. You have a small little beautifully appointed decorative table with a properly distressed paint finish, and you put a picture on the internet, and then you're in cottagecore. It looks pretty cool. So treat these things like you're looking through the magazine section for your chunk of interest. Maybe that's a way to get into it. Or else I'll just throw your phone in the river and read books for the next 40 years. I think I need to do drastic shit like no screens for a whole day. It would be hard. Emotionally, mentally. Like I'd be like, oh God, I have to, but I know I would do that. I took some pretty heavy breaks from Twitter last year. In the first days or two, it's like getting over addiction in a sense. Or learning's not the right word, but making room for a different narrative to form about how you have to get through your day, which is more or less how habits are, habit formation stuff. So, I don't know. I'll probably burn out on it eventually because that's just how things usually go for me. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Trying to adjust my seating. I have to not use my wrists. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're taking care of what you need to for yourself and for others. These are very scary times. These are very hard times. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of reasons to be worried. I definitely waste time feeling anxious and overwhelmed watching the news. And once you realize, like, wait a minute, what is this doing? Nothing is better if I just have a worse day and it doesn't translate into any kind of action or any sort of thing. So that's something I'm terrible at, but I'm working on that too. The ratio of how much of this can I just let burn away in me? Because Jesus Christ, I tried to stop the show. I'm lowering my head because I know my head would be out of frame if I sit up. My imagination is just like a room full of children with Play-Doh. It just goes and goes. It just will take hold of stuff and just off it goes and running. And I'll make myself cry just thinking about stuff. It's just like, but I mean that doesn't happen a lot. But like I can get upset or emotional or something just with some sort of scenario in my mind, and it branches off, and watching the news and being interested in the world and having a curiosity about this stuff. I've been paying attention to politics since I was 15 years old. I went to school for capitalism, studied business, ran a business. I mean, I've been on kind of a journey in my time from, dumb kid with a conservative dad to where I'm at now. And I hope that process continues to evolve as I take in new information and learn new things, like the concept of neurodivergence and neurotypical stuff. And I hope that you are enjoying this too, which is unlikely because I won't say goodbye. I can't say goodbye. Goodbye. Take care. Talk to you again soon.